Today's Sunday, November 9th. Here's our next house update video. As you can see, I've got a lot done since the last video was made a few weeks ago. We ended up deciding to spend a lot of time on framing and get it as far as we could before we got into the insulation step. Originally my plan was to try to just get the exterior walls built and insulated and then do something temporary on the ceiling to seal this space up because it's getting cold outside, but instead we went the route of getting the ceiling framed with the permanent style, and that way I can do the sheetrock, do the wiring, do the insulation, and have it there, and I won't have to touch it again. So there's a bunch of stuff I want to go over quickly in this video just to show how we did a few things. First is how we go about exposing these beams. We do a 2x6 new floor structure or ceiling structure. This is what the third floor sits on. This top level here, I'll show that later in the video. And with the 2x6, it ends up exposing almost 3 inches of this old beam, which looks really nice in the other rooms once it's all sheetrocked and sealed up. And then we put in more 2x6s, 16 on center, so when we run our subfloor up above, it all goes in nice and easy. And we just use standard joist hangers on the ends. We did that. As you can see, we did that for all 3 beams in this room, and then we did the same, if we go around the center wall here, we did the same in this room. Some of these beams, like this one right here, I think look really nice. This has got the old, original shape of the tree. It's a nice round shape. It's got still some of the old character to it, and in a bunch of places you can still see some of the old hand-hewn marks. So I'm really happy we were able to expose those and get as much of the old character still shown as possible. The next thing I wanted to show is this center wall. This is the main carrier wall now for leading up to the third floor. So I really wanted this wall to be as strong as possible. So it's just a standard 2x4 wall, but we're going to go through and sheet both sides of it with 1/2-inch plywood. That just really firms everything up, makes sure nothing can ever move, since it will have a pretty good amount of weight on it when the third floor gets finished. So you can kind of see the beginnings of that going on. I'm also going to insulate this wall for noise protection. This is going to be a spare bedroom on one side for company or an office, and then the other side is going to be my daughter's room. So we want to try to just keep the noise down as much as possible. So that's going to get insulated once I get the electrical run through there. Speaking of which, I have started some of the electrical work. You can see a little bit of it in this room. I haven't made it very far on that yet. That's the next thing I have to get done before I can do the insulation. So that will be coming up in the next few days. And then we can start insulating the exterior walls. Another thing I wanted to show was how we did the exterior walls. Back here you can see the original rough cut framing that they put in on the walls, and most of these they vary in size, but most of these are about 3 to 4 inches thick. They're not very thick at all, so there really wasn't much space for insulation. So what we went ahead and did was added in these furred out pieces. This is a 2x4 with about 3/4 of an inch ripped off the edge of it. It just ended up being a good measurement to be able to easily fit a bat of insulation in that space. And what ended up happening when you do this is, as you can see here, there ends up being space between the old material and the new material, so you can fill this void with insulation, and you never actually have a point where there's solid wood all the way from the exterior wall all the way through to the sheetrock level. And that really helps get extra insulation in there. Wood is about an R6, so if you end up having a solid piece of wood come all the way through, you have that big gap of only R6 insulation. But with adding in this extra layer in between, we cut that down, stop the airflow quite a bit. So we'll be putting in about a 2x6 piece of insulation in here, or the equivalent of what a 2x6 wall would have been worth of insulation, and then we'll be putting a vapor barrier over that to seal everything up the best we can. The last thing that I thought was worth showing in this video is this view, which is, I'm now in the third floor looking down onto the new second floor area. You can see I've already got some of the subfloor ready to go down, but this gives you an idea of what it looks like from above with that wall that I was talking about. That is going to be plywood on both sides. And then over here, another wall, that's the wall that runs along the side of the staircase. So you can kind of see how everything went together. This is all nice and level. Once I get the electrical and the insulation in on this level, I can just run my subfloor over the top, glue it, nail it, and it's done.